Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back here to the launch pad, or maybe it's evening or morning, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome to today's live launch coverage of Virgin Orbit's Above the Clouds. First Virgin Orbit launch we've seen in a while, so excited to kick off this year with the third orbital launch of any company with them. If you were with us this morning for Transporter 3 with SpaceX, welcome back. And if you're just joining us for the first time today, welcome. We're going to run through all of the details of today's launch here, and we are expecting Virgin Orbit to go live shortly. Today's launch window is actually a takeoff window, which runs from 1 till 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 9 to 11:30 p.m. UTC. Today, they're launching from the Mojave Air and Spaceport. So this is a different launch. This is a launch where the rocket is actually deployed from a plane, and that's what we're going to be seeing here. We do have our live tracker up, so we can keep track of where the actual flight is to see when it goes in the air. Sometimes they'll show us takeoff live, sometimes they'll show it after. So we will wait and see what we get from them here today. We do know that they had gone ahead and fueled the rocket, or as some people want to call it, the missile-looking thing on the plane. They did go ahead and had LOX loading, and we're ready to go. The Launcher 1 tanks are fully loaded with RP-1 fuel and liquid oxygen and ready for flight, and they are preparing the plane for liftoff. As always, if it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at the launch pad. Here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe space is better together. So we invite you to be active in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and if you guys have questions, you can send those in at any point during today's broadcast by just tagging us at the launch pad, and we will work to answer all of those. If you want to be the next question answered, send it in over as a super chat, and then you will jump to the top of the queue there. First, I want to say a huge thank you, though. In between Transporter 3 today and now the Above the Clouds mission with Virgin Orbit, we hit 50,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for each and every one of you being here. Blown away by this. Just over a year and a couple weeks, and went from 0 to 50K is absolutely a dream. And I appreciate that you guys trust us to be honest and factual and bring you the best coverage that we can. And they are live. Now, one thing that's going to be fun is Virgin is obviously a music company. So we are going to be careful with how much audio we actually let through from their feed. When they're talking, we're going to try to do it. But bear with us as we navigate that. It's, they don't give use copyright-free music. But we do have them up and live. So the moment they come through, we will patch them in so you guys can hear what's going on there. For today's mission, but a little bit about the details for today. The customer is the United States Department of Defense, as well as SatRevolution and Spire Global. Cosmic Girl is the name of the plane. We'll be taking off from the Mojave Air and Spaceport, and as you can see on your screen here, we'll actually be flying out over the ocean to its launch site destination out here. That is where it will go into a circular pattern to prepare for the launch. It'll launch, and then the plane will return, and the rocket will do the rest of it. We don't know the payload mass of today, but it can go up to 300 kilograms or 660 pounds, and they're going to a low Earth orbit at 500 kilometers. Something very unique about today's mission is that it will be the first time a rocket is launched from the West Coast going into a 45-degree inclination. This is Virgin Orbit trying to show how flexible their vehicle is and how really they could launch from any airport in the world that can handle a 747 modified and be able to launch satellites for pretty much any nation. We know Brazil and a number of other nations are building spaceports and preparing for their Virgin Orbit debuts. So it looks like they're getting spooled up here. So we will patch them in as we get ready for today's coverage of Above the Clouds with Virgin Orbit. The rocket is not reusable and will crash into the Pacific Ocean, but of course the plane will be recovered. This is the second mission for Virgin Orbit with the DOD, their first launch of 2022, and only the fourth launch ever of Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the live stream for Virgin Orbit's Above the Clouds mission. We are live in our studio here in beautiful Long Beach, California, right down the road from our manufacturing headquarters. My name is Erica Wellnitz, and I'm the Senior Financial Analyst here at Virgin Orbit. And today, I'm joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, Paul and Spencer.
And good afternoon. We are so excited to be here with you today. My name is Paul Anderson. I am Lead Systems Engineer for Vox Space. Vox is Virgin Orbit's subsidiary focused on bringing Launcher One's responsive, flexible, dedicated launch services to the U.S. national security space enterprise. We're so excited to go above the clouds with you today over the course of this live stream, and we have a lot of exciting content over the next few hours. Over to our third co-host, Spencer.
And my name is Spencer Stebbins. I'm an aerodynamicist here at Virgin Orbit. A lot of the work I do focuses
and they froze. We will see if we can get them back and why they froze. Bear with us, guys.
We're so excited to go above the clouds with you today over the course of this live stream, and we have a lot of exciting content over the next few hours. Over to our third co-host, Spencer.
And my name is Spencer Stebbins. I'm an aerodynamicist here at Virgin Orbit. A lot of the work I do focuses.
And it looks like they may be having a little bit of a stream buffering. So we will wait to see if they return here, but we'll keep going through. If you guys have questions, let us know in the chat. You can tag those in with @TheLaunchPad, and we will be answering those for you here today as we go through today's flight. Obviously, we do have a little bit of a bigger window, about 2.5 hours, and they are now in that window. So that window has just begun, which means they can take off at any point. They will then go up to their designated launch location and generally they do one oval, possibly two, just to prepare the plane, make sure everything's clear, do a practice run, and then they will actually go and do the deployment and launch of the rocket. So we're waiting to see if their feed comes back. They did drop their feed, so this is not on our end. That's on their end, but we'll keep going. As I said today, the mission is for the United States Department of Defense, SatRevolution, and Spire Global. And this is the first launch from the West Coast to 500 kilometers at a 45-degree inclination. Today's plane is a 747-400 nicknamed Cosmic Girl that will take these two payloads to that altitude and that inclination for the first stage here above the clouds. They always name their missions after different songs, so if you want to hear a breakdown of what that means, you can do so over on their Twitter. They have a full breakdown there. We are keeping an eye on a little bit of the weather that is out in the region. We'll just pull this over to our feed as we're not getting a super clean one from them for some reason, but we'll see what happens. Things happen, but it does look like it is frozen still at this time. As a Virgin Media customer, I was going to say I hope their launch goes more consistently than their internet coverage. Oh boy, Billy Bob. Yeah, their internet coverage doesn't seem all that great. We'll see what happens. Zelda asks, why did it take so long for a plane launch satellite to occur? Was this too expensive before? I think it's because of how low the payload can be. Like, it is only 660 pounds that can be launched. They are working on a version 2. So today's flight, the rocket is mounted under the wing of Cosmic Girl. But they are working on a second generation for Virgin Orbit where the rocket will be on top of the plane, which they believe may increase the payload a little bit on what it's able to fly, just because it'll have the whole structure of the plane. So they're hoping to increase that. But it is a small sat launcher. But the use of it, a lot of companies were like, well, why don't we just launch with a rocket instead? It probably equals out about the same once you break in all the recovering of the... Oh, we might have them back.
To actually
looks like we have them back
as well. Beyond that modification, we also did some other simple.
So they have no clue that they froze that whole time, it seems. But take a moment, share out the broadcast, and let's listen in.
As well as the bar that actually is on the second floor of the 747. With these two elements, the rocket and Cosmic Girl, we were able to design an air launch system that was unparalleled in mobility and provided a way to create missions with greater flexibility. With that being said, let's take a quick look at our launch timeline so you can know what to expect throughout the rest of today's mission.
So on your screen now is a breakdown of today's timeline of the mission. I guess they're not going to explain it, but on the screen here we can see through that pre-flight briefing, as well as then the rocket fuel loading. T-minus 1 hour, 1 minute, they hand off to the plane. That's when the final go, no go for gas disconnect and oxygen. And then they have at T-minus 14 minutes a go for takeoff. They begin tugging the plane at T-minus 10 minutes, as obviously, just like a normal airliner, they do need to be able to tug out to the airfield runway, and they will do so then. Then we have takeoff. Takes about 54... let's see what's running here. Yeah, at that point, it's then about an hour until we actually see the launch of the rocket from takeoff. So we do have a little bit of time for it. You will see there as it continues on. We have that drop down and then the process of the burn with actual payload deployment 3,299 seconds after liftoff. So an interesting predicted timeline that they're having here today. Right now, they're expecting the plane to take off in about 15 minutes from now. So we are on the clock, hoping to see this liftoff here occur the next little bit. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's an exciting day. Can't believe we actually hit that today. We were watching it in the Discord there. But if you were just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of Above the Clouds with Virgin Orbit. The current takeoff time, as you can see nice and big on your screen, is 1:23 p.m. Pacific time, which is about 15 minutes from now. It is 660 pounds or 300 kilograms is the maximum payload here. Let's listen back in and see if they're continuing. There's a live view of the plane. And it sounds like they're just playing some music. So you can see there on your screen, Launcher 1 perked underneath the wing of Cosmic Girl, the Virgin Orbit aircraft, as it prepares for today's flight. We do have our live flight tracker up, as we will track as they leave the Mojave Air and Spaceport, fly north of Los Angeles before they turn and begin their journey out over the ocean. It is quiet now, but you will see a lot of activity there as they prepare the launch site for the plane to tug away and disconnect everything as we continue down through that count. As they are only about 12 minutes or so, we should start to see that all really happen now with the final checks performed. Previous times we've seen some holds, so that's why we've probably seen a little bit more cruise around there with still more of the gear attached, but they look like they're already doing their final checks to prepare for takeoff here, as they should begin to move the plane in about 5 minutes from now. As always, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. I know many people have not watched a Virgin Orbit launch before, and we're glad to have you here with us today for today's flight, and we'll be answering those questions live throughout the launch coverage here, as we will track the plane. We obviously won't have a live view of the actual plane for the entire flight. They don't normally send a plane along with it. So we will have to use the tracker just to keep an eye on where the actual plane is, and then hopefully we'll have maybe a view from the rocket during actual liftoff here in the next little bit.
Site today up in Mojave Air and Spaceport in Mojave, California. Mojave Air and Spaceport originally opened as the Mojave Airport in 1935 and was granted its spaceport license through the Federal Aviation Administration in 2004, becoming the first private airport in the U.S. with a commercial spaceflight license.
So what you're actually seeing through some of these shots, especially this one, is a large wind turbine farm in the background. Fun fact about Mojave, it's actually home to the third largest onshore wind energy project in the world.
And if you're based in the LA area and plan on going skiing or snowboarding anytime soon up at Mammoth Mountain, you will drive right past the Mojave Air and Spaceport on the 14 freeway. And if you're lucky, you may even get a chance to see Cosmic Girl.
Yeah, and let me add this. Mojave has a rich history in aerospace flight testing and space industry development, but since it's located in the Mojave Desert, the only thing you'll find more dangerous than the rocket engine testing are the creatures that live there. The black widow spider, the tarantula hawk wasp, and the Mojave green rattlesnake, very poisonous, all call Mojave home, so watch your step.
I've actually seen a black widow in person, and those things are so tiny. It's impressive that they can pack such a horrible bite to them.
Absolutely.
Well, one more fun fact for you guys. This was actually where the VSS Unity of our sister company, Virgin Galactic, reached suborbital spaceflight for the very first time back in 2018.
Virgin Orbit and Virgin Galactic are separate but sister companies with a shared founder, Sir Richard Branson. Virgin Galactic is opening space for everyone by enabling affordable suborbital human spaceflight so that anyone can become an astronaut. I know I'd love to fly to space one day. But Virgin Orbit is opening space for everyone by enabling affordable, anytime, anywhere orbital access for small satellites that bring positive change to all of us back here on Earth.
So to help everyone at home differentiate between Virgin Orbit and Virgin Galactic, let's take a quick look at our launch simulation that we've put together for you.
So here you can see what that rocket will do. It'll drop from the wing, then ignite its engine, and begin its journey up at a 45-degree inclination of 500 kilometers, where it will have its stages separate and continue on their journey, carrying the two payloads that are on board here today. Right now, weather is looking good for liftoff. They're preparing for the plane to depart. We should see that plane begin to taxi towards the runway at any moment now, as that does generally take about 10 minutes for it to get to the end of the runway to prepare for takeoff. So we are keeping a close eye on that, and we will hopefully see it show up on the live tracker shortly. Flawed Perspectives asking, what kind of upgrades does this rocket have over the much older Stargazer program? This is a great question. Stargazer, definitely a previous generation. With it launching from the aircraft that was the Pegasus, I believe it was, off the top of my head. That launch, a similar concept. Just this one, the rocket is actually under the wing rather than under the body of the plane. It is also a different type of plane. It's a larger aircraft for it. The Stargazer, which is a similar concept, as of October 2019, has had 44 rockets launching in the Pegasus H and Pegasus XL configuration. And is something that started in 1994, but it used a Boeing NB-52B was what it was replacing. The aircraft itself, just trying to confirm here. Trying to confirm what aircraft it was actually flying on here. Excuse me, guys. It's a Lockheed L-1011 TriStar that it was using. So they first flew in 1974. So it's an old aircraft. That's the actual aircraft that they use, but it's gone through its generations, but very similar concept. I believe that had some more stages to it. It had the option of a larger stage or a third stage, where currently Cosmic Girl does not, but they are working on that for the future as well. Treasury Dives, thank you so much for that super chat. You didn't have to do that. Just saying thank you, not even a question. Thank you so much, appreciate it. Thanks for supporting us. Wooden tank, they should weld two planes together. That's basically what they do with their Unity aircraft, which is their passenger plane that they drop, using a similar concept of take a plane up to an altitude, drop your rocket, and then fire the engine to help save on that first stage. And that is what they do with that. So similar, two planes welded together with the rocket in between, and we'll hopefully see another one of those in the near future. This is the fourth launch for this aircraft system, including their test flights. So they've had 4 so far. Yeah, unfortunately, they do take 30% there, Freebird. But that's okay. They give us the platform. If we didn't have the platform, we couldn't reach you guys. So we are appreciative. Let's listen back in for an update.
The girl is moving towards the runway. She should be wheels up in no time. I'm pretty pumped. What about you guys?
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, you can see such a beautiful shot of her right there as she's moving down the tarmac. Such a beautiful day in Mojave right now, especially you can see the size of Cosmic Girl on the rocket underneath wing. It's such an impressive sight.
Yeah, now Launcher 1 is 70 feet long, and when you're up next to Launcher 1, fully integrated in the factory, she looks to be a fairly large rocket, but under the wing there of a Boeing 747-400, this massive two-story commercial jetliner, Launcher 1 looks small indeed. But what an exciting moment here as we get ready for this distinguishing feature of air launch, the takeoff of the carrier aircraft from the runway.
And actually, that's one of my favorite things about working at Virgin Orbit. I work above the manufacturing shop floor, and we have like a nice window overseeing the whole flooring. So you can see pieces of the rocket as it comes together, and so you can see the size of it, and it's absolutely breathtaking. But when you see the whole thing put together, it's even more so amazing. I can't wait to see this baby launch today.
Yeah, and what's so inspiring, I think, about this, we have a lot of scientists, engineers, and future explorers who are watching this live stream right now. And, just a word to them, what you're seeing on the screen right now it's not taught in schools. You're not going to find a textbook that shows you how to do this. This right here, integrated plane, rocket, and satellites, all as a single system, that was born through ingenuity, creativity, and the imagination of a world-class team, I think one of the best in the world.
So as you can see on your screen there, they're preparing the craft to begin taxi. They are go for taxi. They are starting up the engines, confirming all 4 spin up properly, and then they will begin taxiing down to the very far end of that runway to prepare for takeoff. They will be running a little bit later right now than that current targeted takeoff of 1:23, as it does take them a few minutes to begin their taxi. As it is a very large aircraft, as you can see that person standing in front of the engine there on the right side of the plane. But they are getting ready for liftoff here today above the clouds. Nice to see that there's been no major delays. They are targeting the opening of their window, which was 1 p.m. Pacific. That was the earliest they were authorized to take off and begin their flight, as they do have to file a flight plan just like any other aircraft. On board, the U.S. Department of Defense has some payloads on board that are for research and development satellites. They are going to test the integration of space-based communications and in-space navigation to strengthen national security. And that is part of the DOD's test program with Virgin Orbit. So just like we've seen what them do with Astra, the Department of Defense gives a couple missions with some test payloads to these organizations. They pay for them and get ready to make sure they can prove the functionality of the rocket. You can see there another engine startup with a big puff of smoke there, but they are spooling up the engines of Cosmic Girl. On board is also SatRevolution, which has previously launched on the Tubular Bells Part 1 mission, which occurred 2 flights ago. And they are on board today with their Stork 3 payload, which will join Stork 4 and 5 that previously launched. These 3 satellites will observe and collect data from the upper layers of the Earth's surface and study farmland by collecting data on conditions of crops. So we'll see what information we get from them. Are keeping an eye on that plane as it gets ready to taxi there. We're going to wait to see that gentleman who's in front of it clear the way, and then that plane will start to make its way down the taxiway towards the end of the runway. Heather, is this cleaner than a traditional rocket launch? That's a good question. I think once you balance out all the emissions from the actual plane itself, it's probably close, because the plane does have to fly, pretty much an hour till it launches, then about 30 to 40 minutes back. So it is quite a process. So I don't believe that it would be much different, but I'd have to look into it. I think it also depends on the aircraft. So like the 747 is an old plane, but maybe something that's a newer plane with newer engines could be. That's a good question. I will look that up and try to get an answer for that. Just catching up on your guys' questions. Johnny asks, what is the reason for launching from an airplane as compared to a normal launch on a pad? That's a really great question. That's one reason why Virgin Orbit exists, is because they want to be able to bring launch capabilities to basically any airport in the world. So especially with the 747, which is an intercontinental plane, it can fly across the major oceans. Right now they only have one. They just have Cosmic Girl. But in the future, they could see a future where they have one on each continent or something like that. They already have agreement with Brazil, a couple other countries as well, to do launches for them. And those would be those countries' first launches. And they're going to launch from their actual homeland. So they will fly Cosmic Girl down to Brazil. They will file a flight plan similar to this in a designated area. And they will be able to launch that. So really, they're able to load everything they need up on the plane and just need their ground support systems on site, and they can support Cosmic Girl and launch a rocket from there. So different governments or agencies can prepare payloads and then pay for Cosmic Girl to come and launch from there, rather than having to move all their equipment to a dedicated launch site. It's going to open up going to space for a lot of other countries. It's a lot cheaper too, because you don't have to build all the infrastructure. As long as you have an airport that can handle a 747 and a largish tarmac area where it can sit and prepare for its flight and integration and everything, then they will be able to have rocket launches. Keep in mind, these are very small. These are just 660 pounds or 300 kilogram max capability. So it'll be interesting to see what other countries sign on and start being able to launch satellites into the future. Space Fan, opinions on today's Transporter 3 launch. I thought it was a beautiful launch, nice and clean. The landing was spot on, almost right dead on target for the pad as well. So it looked really good. The end of the broadcast was a little choppy, just with the not having direct downlink. But that is okay. I think it was nice that we did see a number of deployments on camera, more than we've seen before, and we'll hopefully see another transporter mission either next year at the same time, or maybe we'll see another one later in the year. Johnny, yeah, but wouldn't it limit the type of rocket they could use? Absolutely. So Launcher 1 is the only rocket that launches on Cosmic Girl. So unless you can fit in the Launcher 1 payload fairing, then you will not be able to launch with it. So it gives one option, not a large sat launcher or a heavy launcher or sat, but it gives an option to start. And I think that's what a lot of governments are looking for, is let's prove the need for an agency, space agency or space capability, and then they work to being able to develop into the future. But if they don't have one, how do they know that there's interest in it? So we'll see. No Fame's in Mojave. That's awesome. Great to see. It's be exciting. Oh, you're by the airfield? No name. That is amazing. Do you live in the region? Because we are trying to figure out how to get someone down there for future flights. So if you're on Discord, reach out and let me know and we can connect. SpaceX NASA News, how's it going? Thanks for being here. How old is Launcher 1? This is the fourth launch that they have done under Launcher 1. I want to say the first one was, I want to say it was last year, the first flight. But it might have been in the fall. Let me double check it here. I want to say we covered it, the first operational flight. But let me just confirm that. Yeah, it began operation June 30th, 2021 was the last flight. It has had one failure. It cost $12 million per launch. It took development from 2007 through 2020, with its first launch, May 25th, 2020 was its first. So we covered 2, 3, and now 4 for it. Currently on the list of launch sites, it can launch from Mojave Air and Spaceport in California, Mojave Air and Spaceport in California, Kennedy Space Center in Florida, the New Quay Airport in England, the Ellison Onizuka Kona in Hawaii, Roosevelt Roads Naval Station, Puerto Rico, the Oita, I hope I said that right, Airport in Japan, Anderson Air Force Base in Guam, and the Alcantara Space Center in Brazil. Those are all the sites that have signed on to do launches. They've had 2 successful flights, which was Tubular Bells 1 and 2, and then one failure as well that they are working on. You can see on your screen there, that is a live look at their telemetry for today's flight. This is always something really awesome to get to see as they begin. You can see all the temperatures as they get ready for the flight here, getting ready to taxi down. We're seeing that we have passed that expected takeoff time, but it is expected that there are always delays, and we'll see what happens. Conan, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you for the coverage as always, Zach. Do you ever see them doing a double drop launch with Cosmic, like 2 rockets at one time? I don't think it's able to withstand it. Now, could they have a second rocket ready to go at the airport, throw it on, and go? I don't know enough of the engineering of the plane for that, but theoretically that would make sense to me. Kind of like Starship. They want to land the booster, just throw another one on top and go again. That's kind of the same idea as the plane. But having 2 on board at once, no. Their next iteration is going to be a plane with the rocket on top instead of under the wing, hoping to increase some of the payload capabilities. Bailey, is there an abort system if something goes wrong with the rocket before release? They'd be able to dump it. That's why they launched this over the ocean. That's where they prepare for engine chill and everything, is once they're over the ocean. So they would just dump the rocket at that point. There's not an abort system or anything for like the people on board, though, as it is a massive 747. Nathan, hi from the UK. Great to see you. Preston, if you go no-go polls are 4. If it fails, you can collect your insurance. Yeah, and then get a big FAA review. We are still waiting for Cosmic Girl to taxi down to the end of the runway to take off. Keep in mind, we do have 45 minutes to an hour after takeoff until the actual launch of Launcher 1. That's awesome, No Name. It's great to hear from the ground. Do you know if they are taking off towards the east or the west? Let's take... I mean, current telemetry shows... If you're going off this flight map, it's a dotted line showing that they're going to the left, which would be the west. But it is possible that we would see them do a circle. So... I'm not 100% sure at that point. Based on the windsock on our screen, it doesn't look too windy. So they will have to wait and see where it lines up on the runway. Unfortunately, I don't have that information for you. But yeah, if you're down there and can reach out to us, we can connect about the future possibly. Space Fan, if it can support a 747, it can fly a Cosmic Girl. So it is a modified plane. So it's not something they can just take any plane and do. It does have a modified wing and everything on board. You can see there Launcher 1 on your screen right next to the engine. And where it's located is actually where another engine has the capability of being attached to a 747. So that's why they're able to dock it to that point. In the future, they want to put it smack on top of the plane, somewhere around the wing. The question is how would that go? Would it have to ignite its engine and go so it escapes the plane's velocity, or how that works with the wing? We are still yet to find out. No worries, KL. That's why we're here. Today's payload is for the DOD as well as SatRevolution. So we have a satellite with the DOD that's going to test communications for national security, and we have a satellite named the name of it escapes me, Stork 3, which is going to be joining Stork 4 and 5, which launched on previous flights with Launcher 1. Preston, there are no crew on board, so it doesn't really do... On the rocket, correct. On the plane, there is a crew, so we do have to still worry about them there. That's correct, MG. You're spot on. Billy Bobby, Launchpad. With SpaceX and others pushing reusability, do you think this type of launch offers that possibility with future revisions? I think there might be a way of doing it. They'd have to look at least recovering maybe some of it. If they know, they'd have to do some testing. My question is, could they not just throw a couple parachutes on it and then have some sort of recovery vessel that they could get, kind of like what Rocket Lab does, where it's under chute, and then their goal is to grab it with a helicopter? Maybe there's a possibility that we could see Virgin Orbit do that in the future, whether it's a helicopter or scooping it out of the ocean and recovering it like they did the SRBs and will do again with SLS. We'll wait and see. Let's listen in, though.
One are still on the ground. We're taking this time to go through some final checks of subsystem performance and verification of system health. So stay tuned, stand by. We'll provide an updated takeoff time as soon as we have it.
So they're working through some things, getting ready for flight. They seem interested in that first engine on the right, but we'll wait and see. Once they begin that taxi, we will have a good idea of what time will be a liftoff here. Reese, what will we see on the live stream? Will there be a true live image or an animation? That's a really great question. We don't really know. They've only done a couple of these. Thinking back, we don't normally have a lot of views from the plane up until right around launch. Then sometimes we see a view of the rocket drop, but we'll wait and see what we see here today. It is obviously very different than a normal launch where you can set up cameras, or we could even set up cameras. We could set up cameras and cover the plane's takeoff and landing, but not the actual launch itself, because there is a exclusion zone still around where the flight will take place. After Cosmic Girl, it's Cosmic Boy? Maybe. We'll see what happens. No name, I see a red tail. I'm not sure if that's Virgin. They are pointing west right now. But like I said, they've been taking off to east all morning. The winds are neutral to non-existent. Yeah, so the big red tail, if you can see, well, I know there are a lot of planes parked there today. So that is the one thing we have to keep in mind for it. They are currently, if it gives you any orientation, no name, they are aiming towards the windmills right now. So if the tail looks like it's pointing the front of the plane towards the windmills on the mountain, then you've got the right plane. Given where they are, if they're going to taxi down, I would assume they're going to launch the opposite direction of the tail as well. Unfortunately, we do not have a compass on the screen, so I can't guarantee exactly where it is, but let me take a look and see if there's a satellite image of where they park the aircraft, because where they park, it's where they work on it. So we might be able to have an idea of where exactly in the airport they are. So let's take a look here at the Air and Spaceport map. There are a lot of planes parked there right now just because of the current state of the world, and not all the airlines are using all the planes. And it does look like are we moving? Yes, we are. We do have movement. So the plane is on a roll, which means they are heading down the runway to the taxi location. So, No Name, if you see a moving tail, that is what that's what you are looking for as they get ready for today's flight. I actually have to take a look at the satellite image a little later and try to see where they actually do park the thing, because I do not see it on any satellite imagery, and they are new satellite images, so it might not have been there when it was waiting. So they might store it elsewhere and then bring it in just for the flights. It is launching from the Mojave Air and Spaceport here today. No Name, there's an OV-10 making the rounds right now. Sounds about right. They do have a chase plane for pictures and videos, but it's not something we see, but let's listen in.
Rocket safely nestled under the left wing there of Cosmic Girl, the Boeing 747 carrier aircraft. We're just moments away from one of the early stages of air launch, which is the takeoff of the aircraft from the runway, to begin our transit time of about an hour over to our Pacific Ocean drop point, at which point we will release Launcher 1 to begin powered flight to orbit.
Meow, just from the view, it is heading north, question mark? It's really hard to tell. I don't know that region well enough, but we'll wait and see if we can get some distinguishing marker of the actual airport. That will help us. The main runway, the long one, goes in a direction from the northwest to the southeast. And then they do have the smaller black runway that runs straight east-west. So we do have the flight tracker pulled up there on the screen, as it's not in the air yet. That's why it's not actually showing. But we are keeping an eye on it. Really nice looking... it is a really nice looking plane, I do agree. They keep it nice and clean, and it does look really good. There on the runway, and there we go. We have liftoff. Cosmic Girl is up. Just shows you how quickly it can go. You know, they taxi and they're off on their way. Beginning takeoff time. They're going to have to adjust that because they're not 18 minutes since takeoff. There we go. Expected takeoff was 1:39 p.m. That was the time that we had liftoff, which means we are expecting to be about an hour away from launch here. You guys are saying use flight radar instead? Is it better? I've only ever used the flight aware. But we can take a look and see. You can see that plane beginning its flight. Yes, so it did launch straight to the north. We're going to pull up just the full view here. I'm going to make a quick adjustment to our tracker, so bear with me one moment and we'll listen in.
Well, that was an absolutely gorgeous view of Cosmic Girl as she was taking off with the Eastern Sierras in the background. A fun fact about the design for the rocket, one of the things we had to consider from an aerodynamic standpoint was making sure that the rocket didn't have too large of tail fins so they wouldn't strike the tarmac as Cosmic Girl was taking off. So we had to do a little design right there to get it just right.
And as a reminder, Cosmic Girl will be flying out to the Pacific Ocean to the drop point, which is about 50 miles south of the Channel Islands.
There we go. You can see the plane beginning its journey. To have that updated tracker here for you guys. We'll be keeping an eye. Gives you an idea where it's actually flying over. You can see it took off pretty much to the northwest and is beginning a loop, and it'll begin its journey out to the Pacific Ocean for today's flight. If you're just joining us, though, welcome here to the launch pad and our live coverage of today's Virgin Orbit Cosmic Girl launch with the Launcher 1 rocket named Above the Clouds. So that's why it's OBT-01 above the... I don't know why there's a C, but they are getting ready for their... OBT is the one we're tracking. That is the registration of the plane. And we are tracking it just having lifted off a couple minutes ago. You can see the live telemetry on the left of your screen from Virgin Orbit and the timeline. So we are now in the captive carry situation where it is going to deliver Launcher 1. And then on the right, 2/3 of your tracker on the bottom, you have the timeline for the actual rocket itself as it prepares for its mission here shortly. She's built 15 miles from you, Freebird. That's pretty cool, yeah. Ooh, I'm going to say it wrong. I'm just going to say G says, love the space race. High five for Brazil. Great to have you here. Hopefully you guys will see a Virgin Orbit flight in the near future down where you guys are. That is one of their goals, is to have Virgin Orbit launch in Brazil. The contracts are already signed for it, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that there. But hopefully in the near future, we will see that occur. .206 heading, 20,000 kilometers. That sounds about right. That's the telemetry we have. There is a live view on your screen from the Launcher 1's one camera. So this is a view we will hopefully see during the actual launch. That is where it will drop from. You can see that red adapter holding it onto the plane's wing, ready to drop here. Current time expected 45 minutes from now for the launch. You can see there they have an animation as well of where it is. It is a very steep climb up to that altitude, absolutely. SpaceX is at Launcher 1 coming to the UK next. Yes, the spaceport in Cornwall will be having a launch there. They've been doing some promotion as well, so we will be seeing that. But Brazil has also signed on to do one as well. George, I like their concept, but I'm not convinced that it's really usable. What can you do with it other than have a short flight in the Earth's atmosphere? So with this, they do fully launch into orbit. So they launch into a stable orbit. Actually, they launch into an orbit similar to what we saw launch this morning on Falcon 9. 500 kilometers at a 45-degree inclination. This morning was a different inclination, but we see SpaceX launch to that inclination before. But because of the light weight, it's a smaller rocket, they are able to do so. So it is something that is possible and usable. It just carries a much smaller amount. So if we think to this morning's launch, where there was 105 satellites with 82 deployments on Falcon 9, 2 or 3 of those could have gone onto this plane instead and launched with Launcher 1. Launcher 1's about $12 million per launch, which is obviously a lot cheaper than a Falcon 9, but we will see what occurs there. Yeah, very nice upcircle. Very steep climb there, coming up, passing 30,000 feet already. Not like a passenger plane would be. They definitely just pull straight up and get out of there and ready to go. If you guys have questions, you can send that in the chat. Just take us at the launch pad, and we will continue to answer those as we count down towards a takeoff here. About an hour and 42 minutes from now. Expected time of launch will be sitting at, doing the math here, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, roughly, is when we will be targeting a lift here. That's awesome. The mapping link doesn't work on my... Yeah, it does. I've tried it. It does open. It is just small. It is very small. That's awesome, SpaceX. Appreciate it. Let's listen into an update.
Founder of the Virgin Group, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Richard Branson.
Hi, nice to talk to you.
Nice seeing you today, Richard. So you were in Mojave for our last launch, Tubular Bells Part 1. How are you feeling after just watching Cosmic Girl take off?
Obviously, just like all of you, excited, always slightly nervous at this stage. You can never be sure in these early flights whether every mission is going to be successful. But just at the edge of my seat, like you and the rest of them, and it's incredible what the whole team have accomplished. I can't remember whether this is our third flight or fourth flight, but anyway, it's always incredible to be watching, and a great privilege.
Now, Sir Richard, the beauty of flexible small launch is that we can service a diverse array of customers on the same flight. On this one, we have U.S. government, U.S. commercial, and international customer payloads. What do you find most exciting about that?
Oh, look, I think that for people who question space exploration, they don't realize just how much it offers to mankind back here on Earth. I mean, one of our satellites that is going up today will be monitoring agriculture and crops around the world and so on. And it is that wonderful diversity of different organizations and different companies that have got brilliant ideas to try to use space to better things back here on Earth. And I think we've got something like 20 other customers waiting in the wings after this to put their projects up, and I'm sure there'll be many more after that.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the future of Virgin Orbit, actually. I know we have a number of launches coming up. Which one are you most excited about?
I think that I was just looking at the 747 and having a little bit of a trip down memory lane. This plane was I think the second plane into Virgin Atlantic's fleet, something like 38 years ago. I wasn't sure that Virgin Atlantic would survive more than a year or two, and I don't think anybody were in those days. We were taking on, British Airways with 300 planes, and we had a couple of planes. I certainly was not sure that, or never dreamt that one day it would be taking off from Mojave with a giant rocket on its side, and putting satellites up into different places in space. And the tremendous thing about using a 747 is we can put them into any orbit from anywhere in the world. Um, so so it's definitely a pinch me moment. I mean, this goes right back to when I one day saw one of our 747s taking off with three engines on one side and two engines on the other, and we just suddenly thought, well, if you can get three engines on one side of a 747, maybe we could put a rocket on it. The reason for three engines on one side and two engines on the other was, if there's a technical problem in Alaska, you have to send one of your other 747s to bring a spare engine. The only way you're going to get it there is to put it on the wing. As to the future, I mean, I'm obviously excited about every single rocket launch and all the different things that all the satellites inside those rockets can do. I mean, there are so many urgent things that need doing back here on Earth. Whether it's monitoring the rainforests, maybe places like Norway who are doing deals with places like Brazil to ask them to not to cut down the rainforests, and then rewarding countries for not cutting down rainforests. The only way you can properly check on it is really via satellite. I mean, you can do a certain amount on the ground, but to completely verify it on a month-by-month basis, you need to do it from the air. So it's projects like that. I mean, in the Virgin Islands, right here, we have illegal, fishing boats coming through. Again, it needs satellites to be able to alert the authorities that trawlers are coming through with massive nets and long lines and pillaging the seas that belong to the British Virgin Islanders. And that's the kind of role that Virgin Orbit can play. And Virgin Orbit is unique in the world. I mean, the fact that we can actually, there's only, I think, a couple of handfuls of countries that have the capability of sending satellites to space from their own countries. And now all 180 countries can use Virgin Orbit. They just need to ring us up. We can send a 747 and operate out of their own country and launch satellites for the first time. The UK is one good example. I mean, later this year we should be launching from Cornwall. The UK's never put up its own satellites. Now, I think this year there will be two flights from the UK, putting satellites up from the UK, and there are many other countries that have expressed similar interests.
And one last question for you, Richard. So as you may know, we have many international viewers watching from around the globe, but in particular, we have a small number here in California, namely our Virgin Orbit employees, that are primarily watching from home with their families due to the coronavirus pandemic. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to say to them?
Well, first of all, to say thank you for all you've achieved. Obviously, we hope for a successful flight. And if it's not successful, we'll be back putting up another rocket. I'm sure, knowing the lot of you within a month or two. But I'm sure it's going to be a success. To wish everybody well. I mean, our family and friends all got COVID over Christmas, and fortunately we were vaccinated and boosted, and therefore none of us got it badly. I mean, my wife, who's a bit older than me, hardly knew she'd had it. So if you can get yourself vaccinated, get yourself boosted, get yourself protected, you can then I think ride this particular Omicron variant and be around to watch many more flights but basically just say thanks very much. I mean, you've achieved something extraordinary, and I know that you'll have lots more extraordinary things to achieve in the years to come.
Well, thank you very, very much for joining us, Richard, and we hope to see you back shortly.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Good luck in the next hour.
Thank you.
Whew, we made it. So you were joining us for the coverage of Above the Clouds. Oh, I love Richard Branson. If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of Above the Clouds. We are currently live tracking Cosmic Girl on the right side of your screen, having taken off from Mojave Air and Spaceport north of Los Angeles, is now beginning to make its turn towards the south to the Pacific Ocean, and they are getting ready for launch here about 30 minutes or so from now. That was a very special message from Richard Branson that we are definitely, I will put this here, there will be an emoji added onto our YouTube thing here in the near future. So stand by for that. We are live tracking, though, the rocket. Time since liftoff, already 20 minutes from now. So we are 47 minutes, okay, they're saying. So a little bit longer than we were originally thinking. Away from the drop time. They're going to get to their drop location and then do at least 1 to 2 full circles of the drop deployment sequence before they actually do it. So we'll wait and see how that occurs. Freebird, did anyone tell him he'd be interviewing? He seems so... it's Richard Branson. When you're that rich, you don't have to be that perfect. But two, that's his uniqueness, and I would... be super excited to have a chance to sit down and have a conversation with him. I'm sure there'd be lots of but you know what? That's him, and he's a really cool guy that's got a lot of really good ideas for the world and trying to make it a better place. So we will see what happens. Justin, is this an automated launch? No, it is a plane, so they do have to do the deployment. So today's rocket is attached under the wing of a 747 aircraft. That's the live view out of the camera that is on the side of the rocket, and there is some live telemetry of the first and second stage and the payload of it. So this is one thing I really love and wish SpaceX would actually sometime show, but understandable that they don't. So you can see the temperatures of all the fuel there. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. We'll be answering those as we work through this flight phase. We are going to take a really quick commentary break here for just 2 minutes, and then we will continue on with our live coverage as we await launch of today's Launcher 1 carrying the Above the Clouds mission. 2 satellites, one for the DOD and one for SatRevolution. So take a moment to grab a drink, and we will be right back. Stay with us right here on the launch pad.
California is a special guest, Colonel Carlos Quinones, Director of the U.S. Department of Defense's Space Test Program, or STP for short. Colonel, thank you so much for being with us today and for taking the time away from your mission team to join us on air.
Absolutely. It's great to be back, Paul. I appreciate it. Great day today. Another opportunity for us to put additional capability into space, to continue to push the envelope and actually take care of business so we can get the warfighter the tools that they need.
Excellent. So tell us more about DoD Space Test Program, who you are and what you accomplish.
Absolutely. So the Space Test Program has been around for a long time, over 54 years. And the job of our job is to demonstrate technologies, upcoming technologies, to accelerate development of war-winning capabilities for the joint warfighter. Our job is we do this by taking those technologies, do the mission design, the vehicle procurement, we do the integration, launch, and operations, and then take and analyze those capabilities those technologies and see which ones are ready to go to the next level. And the next level means for operations and to support of the activities and the missions that the Space Force needs to do. And this is critical because the SpaceX program is helping the Space Force, the Department of Defense, Space Systems Command to go after the threat and make sure that we stay relevant and the equipment is ready to do the mission and support our brothers in arms.
Excellent. Now, this mission is part of the Rapid Agile Launch Initiative, or the Raleigh project. Could you tell us a little bit more about the goals of that project specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Raleigh, which is the Rapid Agile Launch Initiative, is one of those, it was a congressional initiative, and it was meant to help a venture class launch, small launch providers with using commercial practices to come and be able to support the mission of the Department of Defense. And the idea of those activities to be able to leverage new technologies, new processes, new equipment, and see if we can actually leverage and have a more resilient capability associated with the launch enterprise. And why is that important? Well, it's important because we need that to do our space mission. We at STP, in conjunction with our brothers on the launch enterprise side, as part of Space Systems Command, are trying to push that technology forward, have a more resilient capability, so when we need it, it's there for us to deliver the capabilities that our leadership needs in space.
So there are 4 STP-sponsored payloads on the Above the Clouds manifest. How are those payloads selected by your organization?
So all the space technologies that STP flies are going through what we call the Space Experiments Review Board. And it's a DOD wide activity where all the different agencies and services bring their upcoming technologies and the demonstrations that they need, and then they get rack and stack. And then once that gets approved by headquarters at Space Force, then we take those and then we execute to those. So once STP gets that list, then we work through our process, like I talked about, mission design or space acquisition or spacecraft acquisition. And then we go through that process and then we manifest, and that's how we got into this specific mission.
Excellent. So Cosmic Girl just took off. She and Launcher One are on their way to the drop point. It's going to get very exciting here soon. You know, in your view, what capability does this bring to the Space Force, the Department of Defense, and your mission partners?
Yeah, I think when it comes to mind is flexibility. We always looking for flexibility because we need to be able to act and be able to provide the technology not only that works, but also in a timely manner. And the concept that Vox has, where deploying from an aircraft, allowing that flexibility, because now you're not specifically attached to a specific ground point and the challenges that can come with that. So I think we're excited about seeing where this technology goes and the opportunity of that. This is our second launch with Vox. We did VP Alpha, and that went very well. We're looking forward to another successful mission, another opportunity to actually showcase not only the technologies that we have on board this specific capability or the specific mission, but also to showcase the ability of Vox to do their mission.
Well, thank you so much, Colonel, for coming on the program here today. That is Colonel Carlos Quiñones, Director of the U.S. Department of Defense's Space Test Program, demonstrating emerging technologies in space to accelerate the development of space capabilities for the warfighter. Stay tuned for more exciting content. We're getting closer and closer to Launcher One's drop time. Stick with us. We'll be back soon. 27VP Bravo mission conducted under the Space Test Program's Rapid Agile Launch Initiative, or RALI. The RALI project was initiated in response to congressional guidance to procure prototype commercial small launch services capable of taking research and development payloads into low Earth orbit. Above the Clouds will launch 4 STP-sponsored payloads to demonstrate flexible, responsive, non-traditional launch capability for the U.S. Department of Defense. Let's take a closer look at these payloads. The Pathfinder for Autonomous Navigation, or PAN experiment, demonstrates a low-cost, adaptable autonomous rendezvous and docking solution using 2 3U CubeSats designed with modular subsystem functionality. Technology Education Satellite 13, or TESS-13, is a 3U CubeSat experiment sponsored by the NASA Ames Research Center, exploring novel capabilities including Nano satellite class machine learning, exobraking for rapid deorbit, and advanced communications. The Global Star Evaluation and Risk Reduction Satellite, or GEARS-3, is a 3U CubeSat sponsored by the Air Force Research Laboratory to explore how a prototype patch placed on the exterior can provide details on spacecraft health via commercial satellite network connectivity. And in addition to these 4 STP-sponsored payloads, the Above the Clouds manifest also includes 3 commercial rideshare satellites. Polish new space company SatRevolution is flying their Stork 3 and SteamSat 2 satellites. Stork 3 joins the Stork 4 and Stork 5 MARTA satellites placed in orbit by Launcher 1 on our 2021 Tubular Bells Part 1 mission as part of SatRevolution's Earth observation capabilities with a focus on customers in the agricultural sector. SteamSat 2 is a technology demonstration for Steamjet Space System UK's innovative water-field thrusters for in-space propulsion. And finally, as a late call-up addition to the Above the Clouds manifest, from final approval to full integration in less than 24 hours, is Spire Global's Adler-1 satellite. This 3U CubeSat mission is the first privately organized satellite of Austria, tackling the challenge of micro-space debris, small particles with high velocities that can pose a serious danger to orbiting satellites. A partnership between the Austrian Space Forum, Findus Venture, and Spire, Adler-1 focuses on detecting nearby objects too small to detect from the ground. This nanosatellite detects space debris via a radar and using a piezoacoustic sensor that vibrates on impact, literally a microphone in space. Findus Venture is financing the mission, and the Austrian Space Forum is a space research organization with more than 250 volunteers from 20 countries. To these 7 payload teams, welcome aboard Launcher 1, and we wish you 100% mission success as you go above the clouds to use your technologies for the benefit of all of us back here on Earth. Now, let's hear more about the TESS-13 satellite in particular and the amazing team behind this satellite. Go ahead and roll the video.
And if you are just joining us, welcome back here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of Above the Clouds with Virgin Orbit. They don't use copyright-free music, so that's why we have to mute a few of these videos, but that is okay. We are tracking Cosmic Girl as she is now well over the Pacific Ocean, heading to the direction south of Los Angeles, to be soon approaching that actual launch location where they will perform a racetrack maneuver. They'll be soon entering that. They will do 1 test lap, and if everything goes well, then on that second lap is when we will see that rocket deployment. We are T-minus 30 minutes, 30 seconds until liftoff of today's Launcher 1 vehicle that is under the wing of Cosmic Girl. As we wait, take a moment, share out the broadcast, let people know that we are up in the air and well on our way, and that everything so far has been showing that everything is green for launch here, and we will be keeping a track of that. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by just tagging us at the launch pad, and we will continue to answer those as the broadcast continues, and we'll listen in anytime they go live to answer some questions. As always, here in the Launchpad, we love knowing where everyone's from, so take a moment, let us know in the chat where everyone's watching from. You can also drop a virtual pin on our digital map. We're collecting this to see where everyone is from and showing just that really space is better together. We're collecting this through January and then going to tweet that out. So make sure that you take a moment just by clicking that link. It'll auto drop your pin. It doesn't share any other information and is a great way of just sharing that. If you haven't yet, take a moment also while we wait to head on over to our shop. The link will be in the description there, but it's a really great day to consider placing an order as it's launch day, which means use promo code LAUNCHDAY during checkout and get 10% off of everything in your order. We have our limited edition James Webb shirt available, commemorating the launch as well available. That's available until James Webb reaches L2. And we'll be releasing some more schematics shirts here over the coming weeks. But we got a collection up there. I'm wrapping the Raptor shirt this morning for the Falcon 9 launch. I'm glad to see so many of you also getting your gear for launch days. We've got Michelle in Mesa, Arizona. Tony's in the UK. Joe's in Hong Kong. We got Jimmy in Cambridge. Tristan, not Chicago. Well, guess you're not in Chicago. We got KL, I believe it is, in Michigan, I believe that is. Maybe it's Mississippi. Yeah, I think Michigan, Mississippi. One of the two. I'm from Canada, so I know the states, but I don't know all the acronyms. Sorry about that. But if you're just joining us, we are T-minus 28 minutes and counting.
Seen in the background is a number of graphical user interfaces, or GUIs. Now, these GUIs are composed of some of the parameters our launch team across Virgin and Orbit are monitoring to make sure they keep track of the health and status of both Cosmic Girl and the rocket. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of those GUIs. These GUIs will show captive carry, stage 1 ascent, and stage 2 ascent. The current GUI that we have on the screen right now is for captive carry. To give you a little breakdown of what you're seeing on this GUI, let's first focus on the primary section of this one. Here you see an animation or a comic version of the rocket itself with a couple of our tanks overlaid on top. Those tanks represent our fuel and liquid oxygen tanks. Here you can see the fill level. Obviously, since we're still in captive carry, they haven't decreased yet. Up below the rocket, you can see some of the other components that comprise our rocket, like Newton 3, stage 1, inner stage, stage 2, and the payload. Here, we're tracking some of the key parameters like temperature and pressure. Across the bottom of this GUI, you can see some other information regarding both Cosmic Girl and the rocket pertaining to bus voltage, the speed and altitude of Cosmic Girl, which you can see is flying at 420 miles per hour at an altitude of 31,000 feet, as well as our pallet and pylon, which is our separation system for the rocket. So by all means, stay tuned throughout the rest of today's mission and take a look at these GUIs as they update, as they'll provide plenty of information on the relevant section of our flight segment.
Do really love these GUIs, as they call them, as it shows us how much fuel's on board and just those temperatures and the pressure. As they prepare there, you can see those temperatures having decreased since they've taken off. Obviously, in the warm California desert, even though it is the summer or winter, it is still warmer than it would be up at their current elevation. So the map right now is not interactive. We are working on that to hopefully have for in the future, so you can zoom in and see what cities people are from. But right now it just drops a digital pin so you can see roughly where everyone is. No reason to be sorry, SpaceX. I don't know what you did, but all good. UK man, I'm located at 00. Is my name to favorite? Awesome. That's sweet. GUI, yeah, GUI. But it's more fun spelling it GUI. Tristan, I don't like them calling them GUIs, as what GUI stands for isn't what they are talking about. Still watching from space, Westport, Ontario, Canada. Great to have you here. Yeah, a GUI is a graphical user interface, generally. So that's what they're kind of determining it. Normally it is a form of an interface that allows you to interact with electronic devices through graphical icons and audio indicators such as primary notation. That's a graphical interface, so it's not technically accurate that it's a GUI, but it sounds like should just put that on a shirt, like my GUI or something. There we go. Yeah, you can't interact with it. It's not a GUI. Yep. Oh, all good, SpaceX. It could have been something Nightbot caught. It's all good. Hey, Tanya, how's it going? Meow, could a rocket launch get received by SDR antenna by radar back reflection? Ooh, that's a deep question that I do not have an answer for, to be totally honest with you. With the way technology's going, I'm going to always say there's a possibility. But I'll have to dive into that a little bit more for you, Meow. If you drop that in questions on Discord, we can take a look for it. Hey, SweetX, today's payload is a Department of Defense for the U.S. government, as well as SatRevolution. A couple different payloads on board. Hello from Liverpool, great to have you. We are currently in kind of the awkward phase of these missions where it is the flight time. It's like almost the opposite of a SpaceX launch. SpaceX goes live 10-15 minutes before flight, and then we have launch, and then we normally have a long hour coast phase. We can answer questions, talk about the launch, and then we see deployment for 10-15 minutes, and then we're done. Where this is almost the opposite, where we have 45 minutes leading up to the flight, then we see takeoff, and then we have another hour, and then we see the actual launch. And it's very quick after it launches, only 3,300 seconds from rocket drop to deployment, so very quick. That's awesome, Tanya. Look forward to seeing it. Today's mission is Above the Clouds, named after one of their songs with the Virgin record group. So they are doing that. It's tradition for them to name it after a musical piece. Above the Clouds alludes to Gang Starr's album Moment of Truth, which was released in 1998 by Virgin Records. The fifth track of the album is titled Above the Clouds, featuring Inspector Deck of Wu-Tang Clan. The title certainly describes the style of launch Virgin Orbit conducts, which was one of the main reasons it was chosen. We are T-minus 22 minutes and counting until the expected drop of Launcher 1 and then ignition for the actual rocket launch. Not deployed yet. It's taken off, though. It's on its way. 22 minutes till launch. It's deploying unused BE force. Let's hope not. I know someone that could use those. Sounds good, yeah. Yes, lots of UK people here. It's awesome. Hey, Chloe. Great for you to be here. Thanks for joining us. First Virgin launch live. That's awesome. Yeah, so Virgin has two crafts. They have Launcher 1, which is on the underwing of their Virgin Orbit plane. And then they have their Unity spacecraft, which is their crewed craft, which flies and gets dropped from an airplane as well.
Taking off, that actually happened at 1:38 PST, so that happened a little bit earlier today. But I'd also like to take this time to give a shout out to our flight crew. We have two pilots flying, Eric Bibbert and Matthew Stanley Standard, as well as two launch engineers. So thank you all for your hard work in making sure our rocket gets to the drop point.
Just interrupted the animation for that. As you can see here, the plane is now turning into the racetrack. So those circles that you're seeing are the dots of the racetrack, and that red line is the actual launch angle. So this is where things are going to start to pick up. We're going to see them do a practice racetrack loop, and then they will actually go for deployment if everything goes well. At this time, we are at T-minus 20 minutes and counting until the expected drop time of Launcher 1. Mike, I'm not a fan of how Virgin Orbit covers their launches. They could have so many more cool cameras and angles for us. It's true, especially if you think about how the A380s have cameras on board. Like, the A380s have a cam on the tail showing the plane. They have a wheel camera, and then they normally have, I think there's a nose camera. And I think that's definitely something that they could have done with this to show it a little more. Even if it was just a generic feed showing the tail with the plane flying, I think would be a really neat shot, but we'll see. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Absolutely, Michael. Glad to have you here. Trying to do a little bit better coverage than what they're doing. So what you're seeing here that is different as well is the shape of the racetrack. So right now, the racetrack that we've seen them do before is actually opposite to what the route they're doing now. The plane has done a full rotation, 180 degrees pointing back to the north. And normally we saw this being, so in angle towards above me. This is what we see the racetrack's shape right now. It's going kind of this way, north-south. Down and this way, down and around. This is backwards, down and around. That way. Like this. Normally, we've seen them go in a racetrack at this angle, but that's because they're changing the inclination. This is the first time there's going to be a launch from the west coast to 500 kilometers at a 45-degree inclination, which means launching like we do to the, like when they do the space station, very similar. So that's why we're seeing that difference. Here's their GUI, as they call it, showing us the live temperatures of both. You can also see the inner stage between the two and the separation and everything preparing. Currently, they are traveling 492 miles per hour, just under 31,000 feet above main sea level, and that is where we will see their deployment. Death after the flight, we do get a lot from the chase plane, absolutely, but it'd be nice in this day and age to see a couple live views, even if we see the better views later, to see some. I'd rather see some rough views than no views. Justin, which flight was delayed? So we had a little bit of a delay taking off, about 25 minutes, but it wasn't too long. They were just doing some final ground checks before takeoff, and they were ready to go. So they squeezed them into the plane that can hold like 600 people. They're not on the rocket itself. The rocket itself is actually quite small.
Get out to the drop point. I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the flight profile you'll see our rocket complete today. To help visualize the flight path of the rocket, we have put together a little graphic for you. Once again, to start this segment of our mission, you will hear the pilots yell, "Release, release, release," when we're prepared to drop the rocket. 3 seconds after drop, we will ignite our propellant settling thrusters, followed shortly by our main engine start, which will pitch our rocket up and take us through the stage 1 flight phase. Through the next 150 seconds, our rocket will go from subsonic to hypersonic speeds as we climb up in altitude until we're about 5G in acceleration. At this point, the main engine, or Newton 3, will throttle down until all of the propellant has been expended, and we will transition to main engine cutoff, or MECO. Post-MECO, we'll go into a short coast until it is safe for stage 1 to separate away from the rest of the vehicle. Post-stage 1 separation, the rocket's second stage engine, or Newton 4, will begin its first run phase. At this point, we will have reached a huge milestone for our mission and will have made it to space. This will also mark a point where it will be safe to do fairing separation and set up our system for payload deployment. Around 500 seconds after the start of this portion of flight, we will have reached our transfer orbit and the second engine will cut off and end this first run phase. Next, we will see the vehicle enter into a maneuver we call the barbecue roll in order to ensure proper thermal balance across the vehicle. From here, we'll fly for about 30 to 45 minutes until we reach the apogee of our transfer orbit. Once we reach the desired point, we'll reorient the second stage for a quick second run phase of the Newton 4. This point will be very exciting as we have reached the final desired orbit and we will be ready to deploy the payloads for all of our eager customers. As we're flying and progressing through our mission, we'll definitely try to call out all of these milestones.
Now, Spencer, you are an aerodynamics engineer by training, and I know you love NASCAR and you love all things fast. So, I want you to kind of geek out for a little bit here. So, tell us more about just how fast is Launcher One going to be flying, and for an air launch system, what are some of the unique challenges with the early stages of that flight?
Oh, definitely. You're giving me a chance to be an aero nerd. So basically, from an aerodynamic standpoint, we break this up into 4 segments of flight, really. The first segment of flight is a separation away from Cosmic Girl, and we want to ensure that we have this correct because we want to make sure our pilots and the launch engineers flying Cosmic Girl today are safe. So we actually did work with NASA Ames and NASA Armstrong to make sure that we had safe separation down and ready to go. From here, we actually go into as I mentioned, 3 or 5 seconds after drop, we ignite our thrusters and we go into the subsonic flight regime. This is around Mach 0.6. Here we see some challenges like flow separation and vortices along the length of our rocket. From here, we travel from subsonic to supersonic speeds, where we then have to begin to worry about shock propagation along the length of our vehicle and making sure that we can control it through this phase. After this, we go into hypersonic speeds, where we have to take in consideration thermal effects as well as other flow dynamic effects as well.
Now, Spencer, I heard you mention a barbecue roll. Is anyone else hungry, or did I just miss lunch?
Ooh, what's your favorite? Texas barbecue or Carolina barbecue?
I've never had Carolina barbecue, so I'm going to go with Texas for now. But anyways, getting back to it, the barbecue roll. So it sounds like a very technical aeronautical terminology there. What is it, and why do we do it?
Right, so it's simply a slow spin about the roll axis. So Launcher One will orient itself and slowly spin for what we call passive thermal control. So
They
with
asked the
respect to
question,
the position
Texas
of the sun
barbecue or
vector, we
Carolina?
want to make sure
Let us know in the
that
poll.
components on that second stage and our payloads don't get too hot or too cold, and so we slowly rotate, just like a good barbecue.
Man, that does make me hungry. Now I'm definitely going to have to go look on a food delivery app and see what the closest best barbecue is around here.
We'll be right back.
They asked the question, so we're going to ask you in the poll there. Wait, hit the wrong button before it was ready, so now it's back up there. Texas barbecue, Carolina barbecue, other or no thanks. Let us know in the poll. Why not? We are currently T-minus 18 minutes, 40 seconds. You can see that expected drop time keeps getting pushed. We were at 20 minutes not too long ago. Now we're at 18 minutes. It has definitely been more than 2 minutes. So we would see. You can see there the plane did a quick loop for it. Didn't change much elevation. A little increase, and now is getting ready to go into that racetrack. So the white line you're seeing is where the plane will go, and the red line is what the rocket will do. So this is going to be their first pass of the racetrack as they prepare. So they're coming up pretty much right now on their next pass, if everything goes well, is where they will deploy the rocket, and it will fire its engines and begin its journey up to space. And then the white line is where the plane will continue on its journey before heading back to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. 62 votes in here, and looks like Texas barbecue is going for the win. But if you put together other and no thanks, it's a close race there, just to make us all hungry at this time. Jet fuel barbecue, there we go. Jordan, what's the difference? That's a great question. I don't know. I just like barbecue. Almost FM, I'm hoping that the launch will go northeast. I may have a chance to see it. At this time, it looks like they will be launching to the west. If they're on, we'll wait for their map to come back up where they are showing the live telemetry track here, and then we'll have a. Okay, so right now it looks like they're going to be launching 45-degree inclination to the southwest. So it's going to the southwest. That is the direction that they will be launching. Not towards the land, but away, unfortunately. So if you're keeping an eye on it from the ground, unfortunately, you may not be able to actually see it. The circles were the... Ooh, they explained this last time. The circles had to do with what they could actually communicate with, I believe.
To celebrate the innovators we work with and the Virgin Group history, which, of course, all started with music at Virgin Records. Above the Clouds is a single by the artist duo Gangstar on their hit album Moment of Truth, which was released by Virgin Records in collaboration with New Tribe Records in 1998. We named this mission Above the Clouds to pay homage to Virgin Records, the company that started the Virgin brand. We went around the factory here in Long Beach and let some of our teammates listen to the song. Let's hear what a few of them had to say about it.
And we're not going to do that because then we're going to get a copyright strike. We don't want to do that, but you can check out the song or head on over to their stream and listen to it after this one. Bobby, what time is northeast viewing? It's very difficult to see anything off the coast. You're talking about, like, if you were driving, how far it is off the coast? A couple hours. So very unlikely that you will see a live view of the launch today from the ground. Ashlyn, welcome. Great to see another Albertan in the chat. Welcome. I'm up in Edmonton. Now I'm hungry. I'm having a Mexican pizza. Great to hear what you guys are doing. Squares are incredibly hard to execute. Yeah, they do more ovals. Ovals are a little more fun for planes. Oh, that's awesome. I can't say the city you're from because we have that rivalry between our two cities. But you guys have a nice river valley. We have a nicer arena. Jordan, why the test flight just got here? Welcome, Jordan. So not a test flight. It is a fully operational flight, but it's a test flight for the DOD. So the Department of Defense, before they award full contracts to agencies, will buy 2 or 3 flights on a new rocket so that rocket can prove what it can actually do, prove it can do what it says, and actually get their payload or satellite to the exact point that they want. So they buy 2 to 3. And those are why they are DOD test flights, but not a version. This is a fully operational flight. This is their 4th operational flight for Virgin Orbit. Now, obviously, Launcher 1 is a new vehicle. It's not a reusable vehicle. So that is something to also keep in mind. On your screen now, you're seeing an animation of where it's going. Taking off from Mojave Air and Spaceport, using Long Beach as an idea. Oh, and they transitioned away. You can see the live track on our radar. Let's listen in.
Emitting a signal containing key mission information for Mission Control Center operators back in Mojave. So shown on the screen now are the locations of the ground antennas that we will use to capture this telemetry stream broadcast by the Launcher 1 rocket on its way up to orbit. Telemetry is on a radio frequency or RF signal containing critical information about Launcher 1's subsystems, performance, and the environments that Launcher 1 and its payloads will be experiencing during the various phases of flight to orbit. And the ground station shown on this graphic here will receive that signal and send the data on that signal to our Mission Control Center for monitoring, processing, and to that rocket status GUI that Spencer has been showing us here on this live stream.
At this point, we are T-minus 11 minutes, 30 seconds and counting until liftoff here this morning or afternoon, blending together. Current altitude 31,000 feet, traveling 475 miles per hour. The aircraft's starting to do that racetrack. It'll do its loop and then it will come down and around to where it'll prepare to actually deploy the launch itself. Hey Chris, good to see you. Jordan, I thought they were doing a dry run with the plane to go back. No, so they do have the rocket already on board. They always do one dry run at least of the racetrack before they actually do the deployment, just to ensure everything's ready. So you can see them starting to do that circle now. Sarah, just go to their website. That'll be the best option. Ashlyn, how do you find the countdown? Countdown is on the left side of your screen. We have the current time, the time that the plane took off, the count up from that, and the time till drop, and the current telemetry of the rocket. 470 miles per hour, 31,000 feet in altitude above the sea level. And we are 10 minutes and counting until drop. Monogenic, we normally do get to see the launch from the onboard camera of Launcher 1. Now, it is like a fisheye. It's not meant to be a pretty camera. It's meant just to confirm deployment is good. So that is what we will hopefully see. Oddball, we do have our web tracker up as well. Absolutely. So you can see that plane now starting to do its loops. Tracker always resets after 30 minutes to make sure it's always up to date there. All good, Ashley. It's pretty small. We are 8 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. Now, that time can fluctuate. If for any reason they're not happy, they can stop the loop and go for another one or scrub the mission. So there is still time here, but it is going into that final bank should everything go well for today's launch. The mission itself only lasts about 3,200 seconds from the time of drop to the time it actually is deployed, which is about 53 minutes. So we will keep track of that as we go through that process, and the plane returns back to the Mojave spaceport as well. We'll hopefully have updates. We'll stay live as long as Virgin Orbit's live, and then we'll track the plane as well. Obviously, we don't have live tracking of the rocket itself with telemetry, only whatever Virgin Orbit puts out. So hopefully we get some good coverage from them. So the cost of a launch with Virgin Orbit is about $12 million to start, and a cost of a Falcon 9, you're in the 55 plus million for it. Now, obviously, a Falcon 9 you could fit more onto, but you have to launch from a specific launch site. So there is the variation of just the flexibility of Virgin Orbit. On screen there, you can see their GUI again, updating, showing the current temperatures and pressure of both of the stages as they get ready for launch here. The plane, as you can see, almost completing its circle, with deployment's going to be right around this point here, should everything be going well. Travis, welcome from Uganda. Francisco's, no, the pub time was earlier when we were doing the drinking with the game. Currently at 31,000 feet, traveling 500 miles per hour, getting ready for launch here in just about 6 minutes. Now, keep in mind, there is a little bit of a delay on the stream. So the live telemetry is also, the telemetry above me, we are getting separately. So this is showing a little bit further ahead than what we're seeing on our screen here. So that is a little bit of variety. These are always a fun one to try to cover because we don't really know what we're going to get as we wait. Potato, I don't believe so. Looks like everybody's loving some Texas barbecue more than Carolina. If you're wondering what that poll is from, that poll is because of the question they asked on air. One of the hosts brought up what time do they like, what type of barbecue do they like better. So we threw that on. Right now, just to give you an idea of when the aircraft is expected to land back at Mojave Spaceport about 40 minutes from now. As we come down to the final 5 minutes in the count, I just want to say again, thank you so much to all of you who have subscribed. You've blown us away, having passed 50,000 subscribers today. Thank you so much. We are super excited for this year and have a lot of big plans coming for that. So stay tuned. After the launch, we're going to do a giveaway, and we're going to do it right here on the chat. So it's a super easy way for you to have a chance to pick up some of your very own Launchpad gear, and we are excited to do that. So make sure you stay with us. We're going to do that following the launch. Based on our radar, they're going to be already deep into that racetrack and about halfway to the actual drop here. So we're going to keep a close eye for any updates, as it looks like their telemetry is just a little bit further delayed. But based on the mapping of what we know now, I'd say we're actually about a minute or so away, maybe 2, from deployment. Thanks, everybody. We normally do this at the 2 minute mark, but we're not exactly sure where it is. So as always here on the launch pad, we want to see from you guys in the chat giving us a go, no-go poll in the chat there. If you are a member of the launch pad, you can now use our new go, no-go emojis as well as some others, always adding some new stuff there every week. We're still keeping an eye on, coming down to 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Based on telemetry from flight radar, I would say we are approaching the drop zone next minute or so, but looks like they still say 3 minutes, so we'll see. Could be a slight delay. It's too early, Potato. They're more evening Kevins. If you want to do the go thing, you click on the little happy face below the chat, which opens emojis, and then you will see the custom ones that we have here for the Launchpad. They are still doing music on theirs, coming down T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Preparing for launch here of Launcher 1. We hopefully will have a live image of the launch. You can see that red line. That red line coming up is where the drop zone is. So we are coming very close to that moment here. 2 minutes from now. Launcher 1 will deploy for the first time ever a rocket from the west coast to an inclination of 45 degrees. This is normally launched from the east coast out of Kennedy or Cape Canaveral, but they are proving today that they can fly a rocket up from the west coast, aim it just like you would in Florida, and then launch it down the west coast safely enough into that orbit. Looks like the chat is go for launch, coming down to T-minus 90 seconds. They're still playing music, so we'll see what happens. Billy Bob, that's not a... Yeah, okay, we'll work on that. We definitely work on that. Make sure you stay with us, though. After launch, we're going to do a giveaway here celebrating 50K subscribers. So make sure you stay with us there. We're coming down to the last minute until expected liftoff here. T-minus 30 seconds. Mr. X, you were one of the first 200. I remember that name. I remember a lot of you that were here very early on, and we really appreciate you guys' early support. 50,000, amazing. Coming down 20 seconds until expected deployment of Launcher 1. 12, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They should be ready to deploy at any point now. So they are drop ready, which means that they are in the zone where they can launch. So we're going to keep an eye on this and hopefully hear some updates here very shortly as they need to deploy this thing. They have a very set zone where they can launch. So if they don't, they have to go for another loop. But they are drop ready at this time. No, there's no smoking sign anymore on the plane. Probably a good idea. They are there. We'll see if they go for another loop on our telemetry or if they keep going straight. You can see there. Oh, here we go.
Drop ready, as we can see. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to have the rocket cam for the drop, but we should be able to acquire that telemetry right afterwards and begin seeing Launcher 1 on her way.
So they gave an update and still played the music. So we're not even going to have confirmation until it actually deploys. Oh, there. First drop and ignition. It has deployed. That's it. We find out because of the little live tracker on the bottom. But it there. Oh, that's an animation. Gonna be excited that we're going to see it. Here we go. We're going to mute it. This is a view from the camera on board the rocket that was dropped from the wing. You can see the brightness of the sun there. That is live. That is a semi-live view of the rocket. You can see the engine burning away. Very anticlimactic for a mission there, but Launcher 1 on the way to space, beginning its journey. They're still playing their music. So unfortunately, we can't unmute that for you guys. But next up is Stage 1 cutoff. We're going to expect that in a few minutes. And that camera froze. There it is. Now it's back. You can see the firing of that engine there as it gets ready for beginning its journey up to orbit.
You all might have heard on MCC, we were able to drop successfully and separate from Cosmic Girl. We have already passed a number of milestones on our way here. Currently, you can see the rocket is at 3,000 miles per hour. That's around Mach 4, 5. And so we're definitely cruising through. We already made through our supersonic regime.
coming up on 4,000 miles per hour, already passing through 160,000 feet. Great presentation by Virgin, no expense spent, says Ivor. They need to adjust the exposure. I agree. We're going to listen to it as much as we can. They've passed through 5,500 miles per hour, 230,000 feet in altitude. You can see on the right, the plane has already begun its journey back to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. It's a really nice beep. I don't know what that means. There's that view again.
The 10-3 shutdown confirmed.
There's first stage cutoff.
Broken.
And second stage ignition.
And amazing views that we're seeing right now. The blue has gone to
Amazing.
black, and that is the limb of the Earth in view. Launcher 1 is in space.
Someone maybe tell them to watch a SpaceX broadcast just to know what amazing views are, but I'll take anything. Any cameras is better than no cameras.
Fairing brake wires broken.
Fairing separation confirmed. Patoth, if I wanted to see an airplane take off and land,
So what you
go to the
might have just
airport.
seen on the video is we just had successful fairing separation from stage 2. And our, actually, you can perfectly see
There we
the
go.
satellites right now. And that's an absolutely gorgeous view of our system in space.
That gorgeous view was for a brief moment. There we go. Next up is second stage cutoff.
Look at
here.
that. There's our integrated payload stack. Again, to our 7 customers, welcome to orbit. If we have more time in the schedule before the payload deployment, but Launcher 1 is in space. What a beautiful sight.
And we're getting word now that we are having great connection with all of our ground stations.
Currently passing through 8,800 miles per hour, coming up on 9,000, passing through 550,000 kilometers. It's about time for a gorgeous view. I agree, Howard. Absolutely. And that should be second stage cutoff, I believe, based on some of the... Maybe not. Trying to gauge what's happening based on the video feed there. It's almost like ice coming off. Looks like they've got some ice. Billy Bob, I totally agree. Billy Bobble, I totally agree. Coverage like this just enhances SpaceX mystique and awesomeness. It really does. We really are lucky how much of a good view we get from SpaceX of their launches. I love that they're showing us 3 of the same view at the same time, because that's really productive. Tony, was that it? Well, they still have to deploy the stuff, so they still have to jettison, but that's it.
Halfway through burn.
So they've completed half of the burn. Okay, I'm going to punch in on this because they're not. Here's telemetry of the second stage. So bear with me if they zoom out. You can see here there's their altitude map, their speed map, their acceleration map. You're seeing a breakdown of the chamber pressures, as well as this is the nitrogen, helium. You've got your fuel and your oxygen, as well as here's the payload. The fairing has been separated. You're seeing there's 39% and 38% of the fuel left. These are live data based on it. You can also see the, there they go, they finally increased it. Can see the gimbaling of the thrust vector on the screen here as well. Passing up to 12,000 miles per hour, 650,000 feet. And they're transitioning to something else again. I can give you live telemetry. Go back to the data, the map. Go back to the data. That was the best part of the broadcast. There we go. Thank you.
So listening into mission control, we just heard that we're over halfway through our stage 2 burn, as you can see on our GUI on the screen. Here we're looking at some of the information about our stage 2 rocket. On the left side, you can see the gimbaling of our nozzle itself and the thrust vector there, as well as the expenditure of some of our fuels, like the fuel and liquid oxygen on board our stage 2 rocket.
1 minute to SECO.
AFSS mission rules satisfied.
30 seconds to SECO.
So they say mission satisfied, so that's a good thing. You can see the plane beginning its journey back to Mojave Air and Spaceport. On your screen is going to fly a bit further south, much more of a direct route towards the airport.
Newton 4 shutdown confirmed.
And there we go, second stage cutoff. Cosmic Girl, the plane is expected to land 30 minutes from now. Currently the rocket, you can see there another view from the payload.
Coast started, barbecue roll started.
So they are now in their coast phase and beginning their barbecue roll, where they just slowly roll. They're currently traveling 16,885
So we
miles
just heard
per
from
hour.
Mission Control that we just shut off Newton 4, so that was our SECO 1, and we've begun that maneuver that we mentioned earlier called barbecue roll.
And now launcher 1 is going to coast all the way out to orbit apogee, and there Newton 4 will burn a second time, and after that we will deploy our 7 customer payloads into that mission orbit.
Yeah, they call it the barbecue roll, Francis. I saw that comment. The Nightbot took it because of WTF. But yeah, Virgin has some very interesting names. They got their GUIs, they got their barbecue rolls. That is why there is the poll. Do you prefer Texas barbecue, Carolina barbecue, other or no thanks? And currently everyone wants Texas barbecue or no barbecue. So we'll see from there. But we have had a successful takeoff of Cosmic Girl, made its way out to its launch site. Deployment, so they dropped Launcher 1 from the plane, had ignition, and have had a successful first and second stage launch. And now the second stage is cut off and they are in a coast phase and will begin their second burn in a little bit from now. And then they will have payload deployment.
Go intermittent on SAM.
Copy that.
Estimated LD on control.
Go ahead.
Looking for permission to release the airspace in the LTRAV.
Don't we need to wait until we're over land? Do we need to wait till over land?
Stand by. The answer is no. Our FA rep.
Stand by, let us
Okay,
mute
then
the
you're good
feed.
release.
Copy that.
Oh, that was reassuring. That was really reassuring. Do we need to wait till we're over land? I mean, better to ask, but really reassuring. You can see some illustrations of the payloads that are on board and getting launched here today. But that's basically the coverage. We're going to have deployment in a little bit from now. We're working to get a timeline on their deployment here from their Twitter. as that is normally where we get the best updates from them on when deployment will occur. Deployment should be, let me confirm it here, about 3,400 seconds after launch and release, which is about 40 minutes from now. So we do have some time until that will occur. That's when we'll have that burn, payload deployment, and then the engine will burn again to kind of reject back in. So we'll see what happens. Thanks, Ted. We'll see you next time. People trust these people to fly to the edge of space. Oh dear. I agree, DJ. It's a little questionable. We'll see. They do like their animation, still animation pictures, not live animation. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commentary break. We have about 40 minutes until expected second burn and deployment. We'll patch them in if there's any speakers that they bring in. Take a quick break. Keep sending in your questions. We will answer those in the chat through this commentary break, and then I will be back in just a little bit of time. So stay with us right here on the launch pad and stick around, as when I get back, we are going to do the giveaway for something to celebrate our 50,000 subscriber mark. So stay tuned. Give me a couple minutes, and I will be right back.
Confirmation that Launcher 1 is coasting and barbecue rolling in her transfer orbit out to apogee, but the mission isn't over yet. So be sure to follow Virgin Orbit on social media for more mission updates to follow, including confirmation of payload deployment.
We want to thank everyone who tuned in for our Above the Clouds mission today. We also want to thank our customers for flying with us. And a special shout out to our live stream production crew, brand team, and my co-hosts, Paul and Spencer.
I want to also give a special shout out to all the engineers and technicians who I can hear on mission control right now cheering in the background. They have been working diligently, and they've been working odd hours to make sure both Rocket and Cosmic Girl were ready to go today so that we were successful for our mission.
We've entered into commercial service, and we are delivering on our commitments to our customers, because here at Virgin Orbit, we release,
repeat.
Take care.
Well, I guess, surprise, shorter commentary break than we were expecting. They are wrapping up their coverage already. So we are going to track where the plane is, and it looks like they're probably going to wrap up. Yeah, that's it. They are done. They are ending their feed. They're not going to carry it on. We're going to track the plane as it makes its way back to the Mojave Air and Spaceport, at least confirm its touchdown, and then we will wrap up from there. But we, of course, have our giveaway to do as well, so stay with us. We'll do that here in just a minute or two. But, you know, they, I guess, don't want to cover all of it, so they'll cover it over on their Twitter is what they'll give an update. We'll leave this up while they do that. For the giveaway, it's going to be absolutely super easy for you guys to be involved in it. And that is that. So we're going to transition here. So if you guys want to have a chance to win some of our own gear, which you guys will actually get to pick what you guys want to have, the way we do our giveaways, we'll bring up the shop here just to give you a quick idea of what you can pick up. Let me make a quick adjustment here. So if you guys haven't yet, you can head on over to our shop over on Etsy. Check it out. We got lots of great stuff in there. We got all of our James Webb gear up right now, as well as our next mission stuff, as well as schematics. Some of my favorites, Eat, Sleep, Launch, Repeat. Some of the just really simple, everyday wearable stuff, definitely to check out. So you can do that. But we are going to give a chance to one of you to give away, win a little bit of that gear, and you'll get to pick what it is. And the way you are going to be able to do that is really, really simple. Just pulling it up here. To enter, you need to enter !launch day in the chat. And then what we'll do, we'll wait a couple minutes, we'll select a winner, and then that person is going to need to be able to contact us on Twitter, by email, or on Discord, and we will send you a code to type into the YouTube chat so that we can verify it's you. So, !launch day, and you have a chance to win here. We'll update the tracker here as it refreshes every about 30 minutes to make sure that it's live data. All right. See lots of you getting your entries in there. If you're just joining us, take a moment, !launch day. Caps do not matter, and that will help you be able to do it. Now, keep in mind, don't spam it. If you spam it more than 3 times, then it actually will remove you from it. So, send it in once, maybe twice, and you will be for sure entered in there. So, !launch day will make sure that we're seeing everyone in here becoming eligible. Give you guys we'll do 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes for you guys to enter in. !launch day gives you a chance. All one word. Gives you a chance to win some TLP gear. Chloe got your 2 tickets. Seeing that, quick adjustment here. Sorry about that. There we go. There's that plane making its journey back to Mojave Air and Spaceport. 1 more minute for you guys to enter !launch day. and that will put it in, and it will be all set. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're good, Chloe. About 30 more seconds. We do Billy Bobble, sorry. We have European, North America, we have Australia. I can't remember where for Asia we do, but we've shipped all over the world. We've shipped to every continent so far except Africa. So no issues with that. Corey, I gotcha. You're all good, Corey. I got you enabled there. Here we go, last 10 seconds, and then we're going to roll and see who the winner is. It's going to type it right into the chat, and then that person needs to be able to message me on Twitter or on Discord or on an email to the launchpadnews@gmail.com. Twitter or Discord would probably be the easiest, so I'll drop those links in the chat. And we're going to give you like 3-4 minutes to message us. We're going to send you a code in your message back to you. You need to type that in the YouTube chat, and then we'll follow up with you on the giveaway and how you can claim your prize. But with that, I think we are all set here. We've got everybody in. Last chance, ! Launch day gets you in for the giveaway. We've got 45 eligible people, it looks like, that are in. Oh, up to 50. And here we go. It's going to go right into the chat. 3, 2, 1. It's rolling. Congratulations, JJTV. Or is it JJ? Yeah, JTTV. Everyone's saying congratulations. JTTV, if you're still here, if you can message us on Twitter or on our Discord or send me an email quickly, we will quickly verify your win by giving you a code. And then we will get you all set for your prize there. The really neat thing, Billy, is that when we do our giveaways, is we actually do it in a way that you guys get to pick what you want from our shop, especially for size, and some people like different colors or styles. So what we do is we do a prize valued at the kind of like a shirt, and then you can actually pick what you want and go from here. Thanks, Sapile. I think I said that wrong. I hope I said that right. If you're able to send us a message, JJTV, that would be great. And then we will get you all squared away. But as you can see, while we wait for that, we've got the plane approaching the Mojave Air and Spaceport, getting ready to touch down after completing its mission here this afternoon or this evening. And that will wrap it up for Cosmic Girl's mission here today. Awesome. I sent you a reply there, JJTV. Just a quick code that I get you to enter in the chat, and you will be all set. Will the plane arrive first or JJTV? It looks like tie. Almost. Looks like the plane might be doing a loop here as it descends back down to the airport. But that is we'll wait here for that code from JJTV. Grizz, thank you so much for signing up as a Patreon. Appreciate your support there so much. If you guys have joined as a YouTube member or Patreon member, make sure to join our Discord and update, and we'll update your role. And there we go. I got the code from JJTV. That's the right one. So congratulations. I'm going to send you some information on how you can claim your free shirt or whatever else you want from our shop once the stream ends. So congratulations for that. Make sure you guys stick around in the future. We'll do more giveaways over the year. We're super excited to do some of those. Also, make sure to stay tuned on our Etsy shop as we release new stuff all the time. And you can pick those up and sometimes do surprise flash sales. So you can make sure to head over to the Etsy shop. You can hit flag so you get notified. You can favorite the shop for it. But if you guys want to pick something up, use promo code LaunchDay. That gets you 10% off of everything in the store today. Double launch day, actually. So we were glad for that. But that is going to, I don't know where the plane's going, but it's going somewhere. But that's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for joining us here for our live launch coverage of Cosmic Girl. Cosmic Girl launching above the clouds. It was a interesting launch, as it always seems to be with Virgin Orbit. But we were glad to at least have some views of everything on board here today, and at least be able to watch this launch and have confirmation. Cosmic Girl back on the way to the ground. Coming up, we have our live show, The Launch Pod, happening tonight, and we hope you'll join us for that, where Ian and I will be breaking down everything that happened in the last week in space, and then taking time to answer your guys' live comments and questions. If you guys have a question that you want us to for sure answer, you can head on over to the live stream that will be scheduled for that in the next couple of minutes, and you can pre-send that in as a super chat or through our tip link, and that will guarantee that your question is answered during tonight's show. Coming up launches, next launch, I believe, is a Falcon 9. We've got Astra coming up. We've got an Atlas 5 and another Falcon. So it is going to be a busy month in space, and you can watch it all right here on the launch pad. But here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe that space is better together. And you have watched our live launch coverage of Above the Clouds, a Launcher 1 mission with Virgin Orbit. I'll see you next time. This is Zach signing off. Bye-bye.